Dinar Shift. The financial world is currently fixated on a storm of speculation, with whispers moving like wildfire through international investment circles. A palpable sense of anxiety is gripping a segment of the investor community as news emerges from Iraq concerning potential adjustments to the national currency. The core of this concern revolves around the concept of a LOP, or the stripping of zeros from the Iraqi dinar, an action that many fear could potentially erase the value of their holdings overnight. This unease has led to a cascade of worried chatter across social media platforms and message boards, leaving many to question the long-term viability of their patient investment. This period of heightened tension is challenging the resolve of individuals who have placed their faith in Iraq's economic renaissance. However, this widespread fear, while emotionally understandable, appears to stem from a foundational misinterpretation of the monetary policy tools available to a sovereign nation. Instead of viewing the current situation as an impending financial catastrophe, it is crucial to recognize that the actions being discussed in Baghdad are likely part of a meticulously planned, multi-year strategy intended to fortify the dinar and the nation's entire financial structure. The immediate panic risks obscuring the broader narrative of national stabilization and growth that Iraq has been diligently pursuing. We must look beyond the alarming headlines and analyze the technical realities of central banking operations to fully grasp why the most destructive outcome, a loss for international holders, is the least probable scenario. To accurately address the prevailing concerns, we must first dissect the origin of the LOP rumor and understand the precise definition of the term itself. Over the years, as Iraq's economy has worked its way toward a greater integration with global financial systems, every minor governmental or central bank adjustment has been met with explosive online reaction, with LOP being the most frequently deployed and often misused word. While the term sounds severe and implies a sudden financial loss in the realm of economics, a currency LOP, or redenomination, is merely a technical procedure. Its primary purpose is simplifying the domestic currency system by reducing the number of zeros on banknotes, typically following a period where inflation has made large denomination notes cumbersome for daily commerce. The critical element to grasp is that a redenomination is a domestic convenience measure, not a mechanism designed to arbitrarily seize wealth from international investors. It functions essentially as a reset for internal accounting and transactional ease. To illustrate this, consider a nation where the cost of a simple meal necessitates carrying a massive stack of notes due to the high number of zeros. The government's solution is to issue a new series of currency where, for example, 1,000 old dinars are exchanged for just one new dinar. The fundamental rule here is proportionality. The actual purchasing power of the currency for the average citizen remains unchanged. The price of that meal simply adjusts to reflect the new numerical scale. The core confusion fueling the investor panic lies in mistaking this domestic financial housekeeping for an international currency revaluation or exchange rate manipulation. The change in the physical notes and their face value is entirely separate from the currency's external value as traded on global foreign exchange markets. International valuation is determined by a complex interplay of foreign reserves, trade balances, oil prices, and overall economic stability, not by how many zeros are printed on the local cash used within a country's borders. Therefore, when fear spreads about a LOP, it's based on a false equivalence, conflating a technical redenomination aimed at internal efficiency with a global financial repudiation. Within Iraq, the dinar used by citizens for everyday commerce, wages, and local purchases is part of the domestic money supply. This internal system operates within the nation's borders. However, the dinar acquired and held by investors outside of Iraq, whether in foreign banks, brokerage accounts, or forex platforms, resides in a distinct, separate ecosystem, the global foreign exchange system. This global ecosystem adheres to international financial regulations, market-driven mechanisms, and the recognized legal framework of cross-border asset ownership. These two systems, though representing the same currency, run in parallel, and a change to the domestic paper currency does not automatically annul or alter the value of foreign-held assets in the global system. The persistent anxiety among non-Iraqi dinar holders is sustained primarily by this misinterpretation and the relentless flow of speculative content. Many operate under the mistaken belief that a cosmetic change to the local banknotes implies a loss for foreign-held currency. Yet, historic examples from other nations that have undergone redenomination, such as Turkey, Russia, or Brazil, demonstrate a consistent pattern. In virtually every case, the technical changes were applied internally to simplify local transactions, and foreign investors maintained the value of their holdings or saw it appreciate over time as the economy gained confidence. Iraq has a compelling incentive to uphold this international precedent, especially as it strives to build global financial trust. Indeed, the most significant factor mitigating the threat of a destructive LOP is Iraq's current pursuit of global credibility. The nation has dedicated more than a decade to recovering from conflict and sanctions, with a paramount objective being the restoration of faith among international trading partners, investors, and major financial institutions. If the Iraqi government or its central bank were to execute a redenomination that intentionally wiped out the value of international holdings, that hard-won trust would be instantly obliterated. Such an act would constitute economic self-immolation, a path no country actively seeking to rejoin and benefit from the global economy would realistically choose. Protecting the confidence of foreign entities is, in fact, an invaluable strategic asset for Iraq's future prosperity. A common myth often circulated is the idea that Iraq is financially strained and cannot possibly afford a rise in its currency's value. This narrative fails to acknowledge Iraq's fundamental economic strength. As a nation sitting atop some of the world's most extensive proven oil reserves, and with active efforts underway to diversify into sectors like trade, energy infrastructure, and construction, Iraq's financial outlook is one of recovery and expansion. A stronger dinar, when it comes, would not signify a burden or an arbitrary action, but rather a natural and expected reflection of sustained economic health, increasing stability, and growing international respect. Currency appreciation is often seen as a mark of national economic confidence. As Iraq continues its journey to modernize its financial framework and deepen global economic ties, the essential conditions for a managed, gradual appreciation of the dinar are steadily accumulating. These prerequisites involve institutional reforms, reserve strength, and political stability. The notion of a sudden, chaotic revaluation is inconsistent with the methodical, long-term approach that the Central Bank of Iraq has visibly adopted. Their measured pace is a sign of sustainable development, indicating a commitment to building a financial foundation that can endure and support future growth, rather than one prone to speculative volatility. One of the most strategic moves Iraq has implemented involves the maintenance of stringent currency controls. These governmental policies are critical for regulating the flow of capital both into and out of the country, a tool utilized by nearly all modern nations to maintain monetary stability. For Iraq, these controls serve the vital purpose of creating a functional separation between the domestic currency circulation and the international exchange system. This intentional separation means that if smaller, new denomination notes are introduced for local convenience, they are highly likely to remain ring-fenced within Iraq's borders, preventing a disruptive flood onto global markets. The strategy of maintaining this two-tiered system allows Iraq to proceed with its internal economic simplification, the redenomination for local convenience, while simultaneously safeguarding international investor confidence. The larger international dinar notes, which foreign investors currently hold, would remain fully recognized and valid within the global banking and foreign exchange structure. This calibrated approach ensures that Iraq can achieve its domestic goal of transactional efficiency without betraying the trust of its foreign asset holders, thereby allowing the country to transition to a more manageable cash system while protecting its standing in the global financial community. Looking toward the long term, Iraq's central bank is actively preparing for the next major financial evolution, the integration of a digital dinar. This could manifest as a central bank digital currency, CBDC, or a blockchain-based payment system. The introduction of a digital currency would represent a monumental leap forward, promising faster, more transparent, and significantly more secure transactions, both domestically and internationally. Critically, a digital dinar would inherently diminish the threats of counterfeiting and improve the government's ability to manage its money supply, directly strengthening public faith in the financial system. This commitment to digital transformation further undermines the fear of an old-fashioned, value-destroying currency LOP. A nation investing heavily in cutting-edge financial technology is signaling a move toward global best practices and systemic modernization, not a retreat into financial chaos. The Digital Dinar Initiative is a clear forward-looking step, aligning Iraq with international partners and institutions like the World Bank and the IMF, who prioritize technological readiness in developing economies. This posture of innovation and transparency is a powerful indicator of a government committed to a stable, progressive future. The enhanced credibility that comes with adopting modern, transparent financial systems directly benefits all stakeholders, including foreign investors. The more stable and technologically advanced Iraq becomes, the stronger the long-term outlook for the dinar's intrinsic value. A policy action that would negate this progress, such as a predatory LOP that destroys foreign wealth, would be illogical and strategically unsound. Iraq is building momentum, and deliberately destroying its foreign currency investment base would be the equivalent of burning the very bridges needed to attract future, vital global capital for its massive reconstruction and development projects. It is vital to approach the dinar's future with a clear, strategic perspective. Why would Iraq spend years actively encouraging international investors to accumulate its currency, only to suddenly render those assets worthless? Such a move would be an act of economic self-sabotage, immediately and irreparably damaging its reputation as a reliable business partner. Iraq's policymakers are fully aware that the country's economic future is deeply entwined with foreign investment across key sectors like energy, construction, and banking. Their primary goal is to attract and retain capital, not to actively drive it away through unpredictable financial policies. For investors based in the United States, another layer of complexity must be considered: the potential tax implications of a major currency appreciation event. A revaluation, if it occurs, could result in a substantial financial gain that the IRS would likely treat as a capital gain. Depending on an individual's total income and specific financial circumstances, this could result in a significant tax liability, potentially 20% or more of the profit realized. Therefore, preparation is not merely advisable, it is absolutely essential for preserving potential gains when the time comes for an exchange. The most prudent approach for serious investors involves forward-looking planning. This includes meticulous record-keeping of all transactions, proactive consultation with a qualified tax professional, and establishing appropriate financial structures well in advance of any major liquidity event. Those who are prepared, viewing this as a long-term financial strategy rather than a sudden windfall, will be best positioned to protect their assets. The emotional exuberance of a potential revaluation must be tempered by the practical realities of wealth management and compliance with national tax laws. Sophisticated investors, particularly those anticipating a significant shift in asset value, often employ specialized tools like a charitable remainder trust (CRT) as a means of managing sudden wealth and tax efficiency. A CRT allows an individual to transfer appreciated assets, such as a revalued currency holding, into a trust. The trust then sells the assets tax-free, reinvests the proceeds, and provides the original owner with an income stream for a defined period or for life, while deferring capital gains tax on the sale. Upon the owner's passing, the remaining principal is directed to a chosen charity, creating a lasting legacy while ensuring financial security. This type of long-term strategic planning, focused on preserving and structuring wealth, represents a far more rational and sustainable approach than succumbing to the short-term excitement and speculation often found online. The entire process of major currency reform demands patience. Iraq's central bank is operating deliberately, carefully aligning its monetary policy with global standards, modernizing its payment infrastructure, and steadily building its foreign reserves. This slow, methodical progress should be seen as a positive sign, indicating that the foundation is being built to be stable and enduring. The timing of any future revaluation or significant rate adjustment will be a calculated decision, based on the right economic conditions, not on external pressure or panic. As Iraq takes these cautious, sequential steps, it is simultaneously cultivating beneficial regional partnerships. Collaboration with neighboring states in the Gulf Cooperation Council, including the development of new trade corridors and digital payment systems, is steadily integrating Iraq into the regional and global economy. This cooperation reduces dependence on external currencies and is a strong, positive indicator for the dinar's long-term strength, an effort that a LOP would instantly derail. It remains essential for all market participants to maintain a clear distinction between factual information and fear-driven speculation. Much of the online panic is rooted in a fundamental confusion of economic terms. Concepts like LOP, domestic redenomination, revaluation, an increase in the global exchange rate, and depreciation, a decrease in value, are often incorrectly used interchangeably. Understanding that a potential redenomination is a logistical tool for local use, whereas a revaluation is a reflection of economic strength on the global stage, is the key to making informed decisions that are not based on emotion. The most successful participants in this prolonged financial story will be those who treat it as a significant financial event requiring structured planning, not a mere gamble. This necessitates assembling a professional team that includes an experienced tax attorney, an estate planner, and a financial advisor who specializes in large liquidity events. The focus must be on structured long-term wealth management and preservation. Individuals who act rashly based on online rumors or emotional impulse are often the ones who suffer the greatest financial losses, a historical pattern that should serve as a cautionary guide. In summarizing the broad picture, Iraq is not facing an imminent economic collapse. It is firmly positioned on a trajectory of financial modernization. The feared redenomination is a technical domestic adjustment designed for efficiency, not an external threat to international holdings. The dinar's global value remains governed by the established mechanisms of the international financial system. Every action taken by the Central Bank of Iraq, from monetary policy adjustments to the push for a digital currency, points toward a future defined by stability, confidence, and attracting sustained foreign investment. For every investor who has remained patient, this is not a moment for fear-driven reaction, but rather a time for rigorous preparation, deepening knowledge, and strategic planning. Iraq's financial reforms are an indication of mounting strength, not underlying weakness. The methodical work being done is intended to ensure the robustness of both the domestic and international financial systems. Those who remain focused, informed, and maintain their long-term perspective are most likely to benefit when Iraq's full economic reintegration into the global market is finally achieved. As we advance through 2025, the evidence clearly shows Iraq is building serious economic momentum. Its currency policies are becoming increasingly transparent, its economy is working toward diversification, and its integration with global trade is accelerating. Every strategic reform, from the careful management of exchange rates to the embracing of digital financial innovation, is a deliberate step toward building a greater, more stable future. The wave of panic currently visible in some corners of the internet is not supported by the factual actions of the government. And as we always emphasize, knowledge is your most powerful tool in navigating this complex landscape. The deeper your understanding of how these macro systems operate, the better equipped you will be to navigate the opportunities that lie ahead. The Iraqi Dinar story is not concluding, it is entering a new, defining phase of evolution. Remain calm, commit to staying educated on the facts, and maintain your readiness. When the eventual change materializes, its success will be defined not by fear but by foresight. Thank you for tuning into Dinar Shift, where we are committed to separating verifiable fact from rampant speculation, bringing you the detailed reality behind Iraq's ongoing financial transformation. Stay informed, stay smart, and remember that the most exciting and financially rewarding part of this journey is not in the past, but just beginning to emerge on the horizon.